Art doesn't need to justify being made. Usually. If an artist wants to make something, they should make it. They shouldn't need permission or approval from other people to do so. However, if you're creating a sequel to an Oscar-winning, critically acclaimed film that finished perfectly and worked very well on its own, I feel you need a very good reason to do so. You need to explore new themes, have a new message, and tell a relevant but new story. Joker, Folie, Deux does none of that. This is a film of oxymorons. It's well shot, but it doesn't have good cinematography. It's well written, but it doesn't have a good script. It's well made, but it isn't good. What I mean by this is that every element of the film feels like it's telling a different story. None of these aspects work together, which makes for a very disjointed viewing experience. Folie Deux is a mashup of a lot of things. A musical, a thriller, a comic book movie, but it feels too embarrassed to actually commit to being any of those things. Let's start with the musical element, since that's what most people care about. Since it was announced, I've loved the decision to make this film a musical. I thought it would be the perfect way to continue this narrative and could make for some really interesting creative choices. I was wrong. Most of the musical sections were just characters in grey locations half singing to themselves or each other. When I envisioned this film, I was expecting big choreographed numbers, show tunes, you know, that La La Land feel that the first trailer gave. To give the film credit, there were a couple of numbers that had really good set design and lighting, and I really liked that. I just wish the film actually committed to being a musical. Also, a bunch of the songs were in a pitch black studio, which just looked like the death cutscenes in the Arkham games. I also felt that all Lady Gaga did in this film was sing. In the brief opportunity she got to act, I really liked her performance. She fit well opposite Joaquin Phoenix, and she was fun to watch. I just wish her character actually got some screen time and development. She felt like she was only used to push Arthur forward, rather than being a person herself. Speaking of Phoenix, he was great, as you'd expect, but it was a noticeably weaker performance in the first film. I'm not sure if this was the writing, the direction, or his work as an actor, but I wasn't nearly as impressed this time around. His character had a very messy arc, so it was weird seeing him go from mood to mood between each scene. As for the plot, it was just kind of meh. That's what this whole film was. Meh. There was nothing offensively bad, it just felt like there was no point in watching it. About 70% of the film was taken up with a courtroom drama that had no drama. Arthur's lawyer made a point early in the film that Joker is a separate personality within his mind. This is the main base of the trial, but it's never tackled or developed. It basically acts as a throwaway piece of exposition to kickstart the narrative. There's also an interview scene while Arthur's in prison, and tiny nitpick here, but why would you pick Steve Coogan to play the interviewer? I get he's trying to move into more serious acting roles, but I can't take a scene seriously where the Joker is shouting at Alan Partridge. The plot also has a terrible flow to it. Between most scenes there's a 2-second cut to black because the editor didn't know how to make this narrative fit together, and I mean, fair enough, I wouldn't be able to make this work either. I absolutely hate the ending of this film. Arthur being killed by a random inmate who's suggested to be the real Joker is so weak. Making a whole point in the court of there not being a Joker just to make a new one a few scenes later is such a cop-out. I also don't understand why being sexually assaulted by the prison guards changed Arthur's mind so much about being the Joker. Obviously, that's an incredibly traumatic thing to go through that would affect anyone, but being abused and sexually assaulted by his mother and her boyfriends as a child is what led to Arthur acting this way in the first place, so I don't get why it happening again would stop all of that. I also felt that if they wanted to go in this direction, then Arthur being assaulted by the guards should have gotten more attention, rather than just being glossed over. Another thing I really didn't like was the car bomb exploding the wall of the courtroom Red Dead Redemption 2 style for Arthur to escape. I really like how grounded these films usually are, but this felt like too much of a leap to happen this suddenly. To give this scene credit, the continuous shot from Arthur waking up after the explosion the whole way through his escape was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed how much this film as a whole used long tracking shots for entire scenes. That's pretty much all I have to say. Let me know what you thought of the film in the comments, and thanks for watching.